So hey y'all, I'm back with another video. So tonight's video is yet again another Chioma Chats video podcast edition. So by the title, we're going to be talking about Netflix and their tendency to include token black girls in all of their shows. So I got the idea for this video after watching a few of the Netflix dating shows and noticing a reoccurring theme. In my opinion, Netflix intentionally casts black girls on their shows that really get done dirty in the name of romance and don't necessarily have viable prospects for them during their quest for love. And I really say that because I've watched almost all of the shows. I've watched The Perfect Match most recently. I've watched Love is Blind, all of the seasons. I'm actually anticipating the new season that is about to drop next week. I've watched Too Hot to Handle. I've watched a little bit of The Circle. And I'm pretty sure there are other shows that fall into this genre and follow this pattern. So I'm going to be real. I wouldn't mind being on one of these shows, and I'm really not the type of person that would want to do reality TV, at least not in this way. But if it has some type of specific spin or catch to it like a Netflix dating show, I really wouldn't mind doing it. But what my pushback is how frequent and how many examples have shown that Netflix is either tone deaf or they're intentionally casting the wrong type of individuals to see success on this show, at least for the black girls. And when we're watching these shows as a black girl, we naturally find relatability or resonate with the black girls that we're watching. And in 2023, we're also to the point where so many social conversations have been had that we can easily detect what we're seeing. We can easily detect tokenism, and that is exactly what I see in these shows. So The Perfect Match is a Netflix dating show that takes other cast members from other Netflix dating or reality shows and puts them on an island in hopes to find their perfect love match. And it starts off pretty much the same as any other Netflix show does, where the first few episodes are like a mix and mingle. People are trying to figure out whether they like one another, they're trying to find compatibility, and they're trying to essentially look for love in this controlled environment. In The Perfect Match, the original cast is as followed: a white guy named Joey, a white girl named Carousel, a white guy named Shane, a white girl named Francesca, a black guy named Dom, a white girl named Inez, a white guy named Nick, an Asian girl named Savannah, a black guy named Zay, and a black girl named Anne Sophie. So the reason why I specified their race is because I think Netflix did somewhat hit a diversity quota. I mean, everybody was technically represented minus the Latinx community, but of course there is only one black girl. And the black girl had the worst luck on the entire show. Over the progression of the show, and yes, this is a spoiler alert, just warning y'all, but you can see how the women are treated in regards to many factors. One being the type of men that were presumably available for them, the type of black men that were available, as well as the things that were said by these black men, and the fact that they're amongst white women who appeal to the type of black and white men that are on the show. Also, the type of men that are non-black who are on the show also did not appeal to the black girls either. So the show kind of has an ever-changing cast. They're able to eliminate people from the house, and they're able to bring in new people. And bringing in new people is based on whether or not someone in the house has a perfect match already within the house. And if they don't, the winning couple of the weekly challenges are able to bring in two people for two people. So to make a long story short, like I said, the token black girl was there for hitting the quota, because if you look at the dynamics and the nuances of everything dealing with the show and the contestants that were available to reach the goal of finding a perfect match, it really wasn't in the benefit of black women. And even if that's not the goal, there were still disparities in what was displayed in regards to the fairness between the contestants due to race and gender. So I wanted to talk about this more because it's becoming too redundant, especially for Netflix. I see it in other shows too, and Netflix has found this hub of hosting some of the most cheesy, yet entertaining, yet crazy, yet addicting reality dating shows. So I've broken this video down into one overall main talking point. So without further ado, let's get right into this video. So point number one is the token black girl. I think it's obvious to anyone who watched this show that there was blatant tokenism experienced by the black girls who were on this show. And like I said, the show had an ever-changing cast where they're bringing in other cast members from other Netflix shows to be a part of the show. So I will give Netflix one point, or maybe I should call it one excuse, for why there may have been a lack of black female representation, because they are pulling from the cast of shows that they've already aired on Netflix. However, if they can't pull many black girls from other shows to be on another show, that is directly confirming the disparity and the lack of quality casting in a lot of these shows. And with the point of the show being for someone to find their perfect match, that means there has to be a cast of qualified men to accompany these women for there to even be a level playing ground for these women. Now, we can say that we don't know what each of these ladies truly want, and we can say that maybe some of these ladies don't even want black men. And that could be true, but I just doubt that the average black girl is going for men outside of their race at the same or higher rates of any other race. I do think black women do date within their race more often than not, and I think that is presumably the desire for the black women on the show like Perfect Match. If you look at the numbers, black people marry other black people more than they marry outside of their race. And I know the media likes to make us believe that that's not the case, but within black romance, the majority of that is from from 2 black individuals. And if the majority of black couples represent this, then I think the numbers are going to reflect the reality of what is desired within black love and what the image of black love truly is. The media has it so that we don't realize that, which I think is intentional in so many formats. However, the average black man or woman is in a relationship or married to another black man or woman. So it is not ridiculous to assume or even promote that a black woman that comes on a reality dating show is looking for or will end up with a black man. Now, the black girls that were on the show were Ann Sophie and Colony Reeves, who both appeared on the show Selling Tampa. And I really loved the show. I wish another network would pick it up because I did like to see black women and women of color in that light. I liked how they were well spoken. I liked the opulence, and more so the fact that yes, there was some drama, but there was a professional goal that all of the ladies had. The show Selling Tampa had nothing to do with which men were attached to these women, and it had nothing to do with how much controversy can be stirred up amongst the women. But there was a professional career goal that they all had, and that's why I liked watching it. I would love to be on a show like that, and it's very telling that Netflix could give them a show that showcases black women and women of color in a more positive light than reality shows usually do. But with these other shows that are more popular and reach a bigger audience, there's this disparity. Another black girl that was on the show was Diamond. She was from season 1 of Love is Blind, but she really wasn't on there that long, so I didn't really touch too much on her. And I just want to say, Diamond, you handled that situation on your season of Love is Blind really well, because honey, I would have said way worse to that man because he was very disrespectful. But I don't like that they didn't bring her in earlier because I think her personality is great. She didn't really get a chance at all, and she was definitely one of the ones who kind of came in with high expectations, but you can clearly see that by the time she came in, everybody had already been in their ways, and there was really nothing she could do to actually get a good experience at finding her perfect match. It's almost like if there's a show that is solely on black women or just black people altogether, it can thrive and pick up a niche following. But for shows like The Perfect Match or Too Hot to Handle that have more of a global appeal and they're heavily promoted on Netflix, that's not the same result. So with these ladies coming into the show, The Perfect Match, I think that we can all assume that their desired counterpart would be somebody who is equally yoked with them or fit the narrative of what they do. However, unfortunately, all of the men in the show, meaning the white, the mixed, the black, were not the type of men that I think coincides with the black women on the show. Now, let's be real. There were 3 black guys and 1 mixed guy, and let's just say that society assumes that black and black goes together. Because like I said, the numbers are that the majority of black men and women marry other black men and women, right? So I cross-checked the men of color on this show. Chase was definitely a guy who isn't going for a girl like Ann Sophie. It was obvious. He made jokes about it. He was unapologetic about how basically he used her to prolong his stay in the house. So we can write off Chase. I think he was the overall antagonist and his character was necessary because you do need a guy like that on a show like this. But when it's at the expense of a black girl's experience, I just have to call it what it is. Trash. Then you have Calvin. I didn't watch all of The Circle, so I don't remember Calvin. However, I just felt like Calvin and his style, specifically his fashion sense, no. Because no. Hell no. This man had on a button-up white shirt and suspenders on the beach. It's a no for me. Moving on to Zay. Zay is probably the only cast member that seemed to be open to having a monoracial black girl. However, Zay was on the show Ultimatum, which is also on Netflix, with a biracial ex-girlfriend, and it was also revealed that he was looking to match with Savannah, who is the Asian girl on the show. So 2 examples of him possibly being disinterested in black women. Let's take it for what it is. Zay is not there to be with a black girl, and although I still think that he has attraction and interest to black girls, I don't think black women would be his first choice. And then lastly, there's Dom. Like they say in the South, bless his heart. Sweet guy, he wears his emotions on his sleeves. He didn't deserve to get done dirty in the way that he did. However, a fingernail polish wearing black man with the audacity to allege that he would be a house husband, absolutely the hell not. No black girl who is high earning, educated, and looking for a viable partner is going for that. So that's also a no. And kudos to Colony for telling him that he most definitely would have to work. It just really irritated me the way how he was so quick to promote her or allow her to be the head of household if they would have hit it off. The absolute audacity. And you may be thinking, if the average black girl wouldn't go for these black guys, then of course they're going to go for something else. And yes, that can be true, but the problem is there's nothing and there was nobody to be of service to the black girls who were used as pawns in other people's relationships, as well as never once had any options for them to take seriously. That's the difference. I think it's very telling about how some black men are in society. When someone like Dom would get on a show show and cry real tears after being rejected and dumped and played by a white woman who literally is seeing them as disposable. And I don't think Dom even represents the average black man, let me be real. But I think for the sake of this show, he was most definitely championed and the most well-liked black man on the show. And his representation is actually also a hindrance to the average black man in regards to black love, because he didn't for 1 second represent that. I liked his character, I liked him, but the representation of it all is definitely inaccurate. Dom cried puppy dog tears because Francesca basically played him for Damien. And I don't even know what Francesca saw in Damien, because Damien just gives me Hunchback of Notre Dame vibes. I'm sorry, y'all, but I just had to say it. However, Dom was crying and emotional and broke down and even questioned himself on why he thought he ever had a real chance with Francesca, as if Francesca is the cream of the crop. Now, I think Francesca is a pretty girl, but she's basically an off-brand Kardashian. That's what she gave me the entire time. From the way how she talked, her look, and the way how she was moving, it gave me off-brand Kardashian. So that was the type of woman he was willing to be emotional for, show his softer side, break down, and also claim that he was undeserving of her or in over his head for her love. But notice when Dom met up with Colony, Dom had to go on a date with Colony. It was another date where Colony was kind of used as a pawn, and he basically told Colony that he's perfectly fine with Colony earning the majority of the money in the household, and that he would be a house husband and cook and clean while she makes the money. You can't make this stuff up. I was so shocked and my mouth hit the floor when he said that, because you can't be this stupid. You got on national television crying over a white woman rejecting you who was giving you obvious signs that she really wasn't into you, let alone anybody, but told the black girl that you would be her house husband, and then had the nerve to refer to her as a strong black woman. And this strong black woman trope is so dead. Like, why is that the only compliment that some people can give black women? Nothing else can be said other than the fact that we're strong. And it's like, even if that is supposed to be a compliment, where is the accompanying commentary that shows other positive components to being a black woman?
Obviously, working in real estate, you kind of work for yourself.
Definitely.
You're definitely, strong woman, powerful woman. You know what I'm saying? Putting money in the bank account. I just want to let you know that I have no issue with that.
Is that what you like?
I'm fine being a house husband. I'll take care of the kids.
I'll
take care of the pets. You know what I'm saying?
I need you to go to work.
I could do that too.
Those muscles not gonna pay the bills.
I know. Listen, I'm just letting you know that I ain't
no
afraid of a
scrubs.
strong woman. Women run the world. You know what I'm saying? Men, we're just here to watch.
Okay. I don't
Period.
like to play.
Moving on, I feel like with Anne Sophie, since she was one of the first original cast members, it's crazy to me that her only option was Zay. At the end of the first matchups, Zay and Anne Sophie were like a default couple. Nobody was interested in Anne Sophie. I don't even know if Zay was interested in her. And then they ended up together because they were the only remaining match. And it was like neither one of them gave each other a chance, but I was happy to see that Anne Sophie was very vocal about how she felt about their matchup. She definitely said that she is not somebody who was just here as a default girl. I feel like as the show progressed, it became more obvious that the women of color in the house were either fill-ins or placeholders for other couples. And let's be real, it could be for any reason. Maybe the people in the house didn't take a liking to them. However, if all of the other demographics of people have matchable partners readily available, I feel like it's only fair to expect the same for the women of color. My overall issue with the tokenism is that it's obvious, and it's also detrimental to what people see when they see black girls and love. It adds to that narrative of being undesirable or not good enough or being labeled a certain way, and I just don't like that. I went to a white school pretty much my entire life, and I just remember being in high school and wanting to have a boyfriend and wanting to be young and in love, but never having the options to do it. You're in a school where over 90% of the students are white and a small percentage of the black students are male students. And then with that, I'm physically endowed, and a lot of the black guys are still shorter or at that time very much colorist or prejudiced, and then some. So I never once had options for black male partners in a white space. Every single time I saw black guys that hung out with white girls, they always had white girlfriends. And it's funny because you can always tell as a black girl that type of black guy that likes non-black girls. It's like a sixth sense for us, and we all know how to detect it. They just have that look. You can describe how they look down below, but they just have this look or this appeal or this gesture that lets you know this black guy is not into black girls, and he's not into black girls, period. And I'm pretty sure that Anne Sophie and Colony could probably detect that, but they're on this show, they signed contracts, they probably got paid and got some great exposure, so they went along with it. But in the real world, what the show represents is actually a reality for a lot of black girls, especially for those of us who occupy white spaces, whether it's going to a PWI or when you're at work or in any other environment. And I'm not necessarily here to chastise these black men and drag them for their alleged preferences, because you're not going to change change somebody's preference by telling them about themselves. You can simply adapt. But I also feel like as much as some people think the solution is for black women to date out, I don't think it's fair to tell black women that they have to date outside of their race to find viable, suitable, respectable men. There are great black men. There are exemplary black men. There are faithful black men. And I don't want black women to flood their minds with the idea that there isn't, just to counter-challenge a lot of the narratives that we see in the media and sometimes in real life. However, the disparity within the show, The Perfect Match, was so obvious, and so many people not only pointed it out, but were very vocal about what they were seeing. So I wanted to read some tweets because Twitter was having a good conversation, and I was definitely happy that I wasn't the only one witnessing the lack thereof. So let's look at this thread. So it starts by someone saying, "Why are we talking about these women instead of those corny-ass men? I'm dead ass. Girl, I feel you." Another user responds and says, "These shows do a horrible job of casting black men and therefore not giving most black women a chance to stay on the show." Someone else responds and says, "And that's definitely done intentionally. There's no mistakes or happenstance about it. It's meant to give the message that it's giving. So it's really up to us to stop watching it." The next user follows up and says, "I agree. This ish was so cringy to watch." Another user says, "The number of times that dude says strong black woman is so awkward." And somebody follows up to that and says, "I hate that phrase because people use it as an excuse to disregard our feelings." And I agree with all of this discourse because I do feel like the average black girl watching it definitely saw it for what it was, and it does push the narrative that we are undesired. And I hate that the beautiful black ladies were kind of used as scapegoats to portray this. I don't think they went into it knowing. I don't think this necessarily hurt their reputation or their chances at finding a great man. If anything, it showed that they are so much more above the BS. And it was probably kind of fun to get this free vacation. Hell, I would have taken it. But I just don't like how it does perpetuate the same thing. That not only do the white guys not prioritize liking black girls, but neither do the black men and the men of color within the show. There was another comment that said, "Love is Blind is fascinating because white women don't know that there are black men who actively don't date black women, so the white women will try to help their black friend out by setting her up on a date with a black man and accidentally screw her over because the black man will jump ship at the first opportunity to date white." Now, this is facts. I don't think the average white girl knows that there's a sector of black men who don't like and don't date black women. I feel like it's obvious, but maybe it's just not to the average white girl who is used to being desired by everyone. And honestly, I feel like some people were offended that some of the white couples tried to match the black girls with black guys because it comes off as tone deaf or racially motivated. But I only wasn't as mad because I think it's a fair action that is really done out of pure ignorance. So in regards to the show Perfect Match, another Twitter user said, "Black women were done so wrong on this show. I feel like no one ever made the effort to get to know them. They were either used as a way for someone to stay in the house or just completely disregarded." And this is also facts because, like I said, it was obvious and the girls were done dirty. They didn't get to meet their personal relationship or romance goals because Netflix essentially casted them to be pawns. When you look at the white girls on the show, whether it's Francesca or Georgia or Chloe or whomever, they're going to get picked. They're going to get chosen. They're going to get attention. They're attractive white girls. So they don't have to worry about finding someone on any type of show like this because their image is desired and promoted. One last tweet that I wanted to read said, "I still can't wrap my head around the fact that we're the only race of women that has to question whether a man that shares the same color as us even finds us a whole attractive." And I think this is the thesis statement of this video. Black women oftentimes have to question whether or not we are attractive or even liked by our own male counterparts. And the way how black men oftentimes defend or give excuses for it is just crazy because you will never see a collective of white guys who will just go against white women, don't date white women, and will pick another race of women over white women. White men don't do that. Now, in the black community, especially right now where black men are probably the most desired demographic of men there is, this issue arises. And it's one thing if that truly is his preference or that's what he likes, but I think we're smart enough to know that it's more of a social conditioning that causes this, and it's more of a repetitive disrespect that black women get as to why it's almost ingrained in a sector of black men to act this way. I definitely don't think it's all black men. I definitely don't even think it's the majority, but depending on your life experiences, it can come off that way. Like I said, I've gone to white school my entire life, so I blatantly see black guys say that they don't date black girls, but they're blacker than my shadow. It makes no sense. All in all, what I think Netflix can do is really just make the same shows, but make a black version. I won't find any offense in creating a show solely for black romance and black love on Netflix. Of course, shows like this are on networks such as BET or VH1, but I think Netflix, who has a global reach and global appeal, should definitely showcase black romance publicly. It's really not hard to create a show like this, but cast individuals who look like the everyday black woman or black man. Cross-check these individuals to get their intentions of what they're looking for in a partner so that we don't continuously see this being perpetuated to not only the black community, but also the white community as well. I saw a flyer for the new season of Love Is Blind, which is coming out very soon, and I was kind of disappointed. I'm not sure which couples they're gonna hone in and focus on, but from the black people that were shown, you see so many mono-racial looking black men, but when you see the women that are meant to represent black women and women of color, I swear there's only one girl that looks like me. Everyone else either looks like they're mixed with something, and if they're not, they clearly are casted to look more ambiguous than black women. So Netflix, hey, it's me, Chioma. I like the shows, but I'm sorry I have to call it how I see it. Adding black girls to the cast can't come off as tokenism. There has to be some sort of sureness that they're also receiving a fair shot at love, or whatever the goal is for y'all shows. It's an easy fix to fully vet the black men that are supposed to counter the black women as companions, and better yet, create shows that specifically show a better narrative of black love. It would probably bring y'all more engagement because it's an untapped market on y'all's platform. Hopefully the ladies on the show didn't lose anything by doing this show, because it was a little hard to watch the obvious tokenism, and I hope Netflix can and will consider to do better moving forward. So that is it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed. Please let me know your commentary on my commentary down below. What do you think? What do you know? Let me know. If you haven't already, go stream my song Ballin', link down below. New music coming soon. Stay tuned. And last but not least, follow me on all of my social media networks, and I will see y'all in my next video. Bye, y'all.
I said 34 beat cup, 30 in the deep cut, 20 baddies with me, QTM, yeah, we up, 16 tops and bottoms, man, I went and got my teeth done, 10 minutes with him, now his 15 minutes is cut, never ever make a nigga think that he up, cause you a queen and I'm a queen, now shout out to Latifah, security in the back, with a racket like Serena, ex-nigga crying, laugh at him like a hyena, like damn, what you saying, daddy, yeah, I know I got it, fatty, pussy talking to him, talk my shit, yeah, I be getting catty, play with me, I bet you won't, fatty on his chest, and now he calling me a stethoscope, pink fit, look thick, I'm looking good, incredible, cut a nigga off, I'm coming through like a semicolon, mansion in the motherland, December come, that's where we going, body have my niggas frozen, niggas put my picture up, and yeah, they go and get the lotion, and I'm the one they check up on, feeling so lucky, getting green like a leprechaun, run a few errands with the bag with the checkers on it, push it on the floor because it's mine and I'm stepping on it, get the cheese and keep it wet, so yeah, he call me macaroni, niggas on my line and now they begging me for matrimony, Detroit nigga touchdown and we